Okay, so good morning. So as I said, I'm Pat Mullins. I'm going to be taking you through this morning on this webinar, how can Building Design Suite help you with your BIM? So I think possibly the best thing that we can do to start with is to determine what is BIM. So I've got a few quotes here that I've taken from the net, and I think they serve the purpose. So here's a quote at the top. Basically, it's saying that BIM is a game changer. So BIM is not going to go away. I think we all need to be involved with this this principle of BIM. The benefits are huge, but of course, like any innovation, it does present some risks and opportunities. So we need to be able to configure and manage BIM effectively. So what is BIM? BIM embeds key product data and asset data in a three-dimensional model that can be used for effective management of information throughout a project lifecycle. So in essence, what it means is you're using a BIM compliant piece of software, hopefully an Autodesk one, Revit, to produce a 3D model. As you're producing that 3D model, you're also assigning product information and asset data. And that data can then be utilized downstream by somebody else, either yourself or by someone else. So this has real benefits. There are huge benefits to be gained by using and manipulating this data, which is added to a BIM model, to such an extent that the government are very keen for us all, of course, to be getting involved with BIM. And of course, they've mandated that public sector projects over a certain limit are going to have to be adhered or delivered in Bim Level 2 by 2016. So this is leading us on to what is a BIM level. So we have levels of maturity ranging from 0 to 3. And what is a BIM level of maturity? So it's an attempt to try and take the ambiguity out of this term BIM, and to make specifying for it clear and transparent to the supply chain, and enable the client to understand what is offered. So basically, it's explicitly specifying what is going to be included within this BIM model, what data is going to be available, and how that data can then subsequently be extracted and utilized. So we have this term of BIM, but there are levels of BIM. So the government wants us to deliver, for the moment at least, BIM Level 2. So what is BIM Level 2? Well, let's start with BIM Level 0, first of all. So this is unmanaged CAD. It's 2D. It's paper or electronic, but it's basically what we've all been doing for years. It's working with a CAD system. Level 1, sometimes referred to as Lonely BIM, is using a BIM solution, a design modeling software, producing a 3D model, a visualization to consistently communicate and document designs and reduce errors. Commercial data is managed by standalone finance and cost management packages with no integration. So Lonely BIM, what this means is you're using a BIM solution, but you're not really sharing the data with anybody. You're adding the data, but it's in a cell or a bubble all of your own. You're not really doing anything with this data in terms of sharing it with somebody else. So although this is using BIM, it's not using it in a shared environment. It's using it in isolation. BIM Level 2, however, is a process where separate disciplines create their own models, but all project data and asset information is shared electronically in a common environment. So you're working in some form of portal where you're working in real time with other stakeholders within this project, and you're sharing data concurrently. So this is the opposite to Lonely Bim. Here you're working on a BIM solution in real time and sharing the data with other people as and when the model updates. Other stakeholders, other people involved with this project are getting involved as well, and they're being updated with modifications in real time. Also, level 2 in BIM involves the use of 4D construction sequencing and possibly 5D cost estimation. So 4D and 5D. So what do these terms mean? So in basic terms, construction sequencing is a process of linking events to a timeline. So as the model is progressing, the model is updating accordingly and allowing everybody to understand and to share the data and to appreciate the sequencing of the model on any given date. The cost estimation is assigning costs to model elements and updating those costs again in real time. So once again, it's all about sharing the data and everybody being aware of the status of the project at that particular time. So let's look at that in detail. So level 3, not something we need to get involved with at the moment. This is the whole project lifecycle. So this is creating a fully integrated and collaborative process enabled by some sort of web service, again, by some sort of portal, compliant, possibly compliant with IFC, so the data is formatted in a certain way, again, using the 4D construction sequencing, the 5D cost estimation, and this time 6D project lifecycle management. So this is now doing something with the data. So this is about working concurrently and then passing this data over to a user who can then interrogate this data and do something with this data. So, but for the moment, we're only interested in level 2. That's the only thing that we have to be compliant with at the moment. So we've mentioned 4D and 5D. So let's just drill down a little bit further into what those mean. I'm just waiting for the graphic to catch up. There we go. I think we've got it. So 4D. 4D is all about time. So visually determine the project status based upon a timeline. So construction planning and management. BIM models provide a means of verifying site logistics and yard operations by including tools to visually depict the space utilization of the job site throughout a project's construction. So it's linking events within the project to a model and then having a real-time update of the status of the model based upon a given time frame. So this typically involves linking a BIM solution, Revit, to something like project management software. And as the project is progressing its way through the timeline, you get a visual indication of the BIM model and the status of the BIM model. This is very useful, of course, for us because there are some obvious benefits. It's going to allow us to get some real-time updates associated with model and for us to understand what's happening within the model and to understand, the critical path and the effect that any particular modification within the model might have on the bigger picture within the timeline. So visually being able to see what's happening within your model within a given timeline has some major benefits. So that's 4D. 5D is cost estimation. So with this, we have a BIM model that includes information that allows a contractor or anyone to accurately and rapidly generate an array of essential estimating information such as materials, quantities, costs, size, area, etc. So in real time, this is a means of assigning data and extracting materials, costs, size, area, and this data automatically adjusts as the model is progressing. So once again, it's working in concurrently, it's getting real-time updates, it's understanding what the model is doing and how it's reacting to events. In this case, in terms of quantities and costs. So that's the definition of BIM. Level 3 required 60, lifecycle management, facilities management. So as the model updates, so does the model. And this model could be used as the as-built data. It could be used for the O&M manuals. It allows you to use the model effectively to produce the as-built data. In addition to this, we also have the capability of extracting information for the O&M manuals automatically from the model. So rather than having to do this process manually, we can automate it. We can extract via a wizard the lifecycle, the maintenance data associated with the model, and then extract that in the form of a spreadsheet. And there are several ways of doing that. That could be a manual process if you wanted to do it, but there are other solutions. Specifically, I'm sure you're probably coming across the term of COBie. So Autodesk produce a what's called a COBie toolkit. This is a piece of software that will automatically produce equipment lists, product data sheets, warranty information, and maintenance data in an easy to understand format. It will be a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet will be based upon a template, and the wizard that you can use, the COBie toolkit, will enable you to specify how many worksheets and what data is extracted from each model or from each aspect of the model. So this is a very straightforward process. It simply involves the use of creating zones within this tool. So for each area or each building or room within the model, you produce a COBie zone, and then you extract or you specify which data within that zone wants to be extracted. So am I interested in extracting data for the walls, for the equipment, for the furniture, for plant associated or included within that zone? You then have the ability to explicitly request what data you want to extract associated with those elements. So for example, if I wanted to know the maintenance schedule associated with an air cooling panel within a room, when does the filter need to be associated, when does it need to be cleaned? All of this data can then be extracted in the form of a COBie spreadsheet based upon a template, and it can then be exported. So as I say, there is a toolkit available to enable you to do this, and if you were to simply do a Google for COBie toolkit, you would see it would be probably the fourth result, and I've highlighted it there for you. So this is something that's well worth looking at. This is generated from Autodesk, and it will allow you to extract automatically data associated from your model and present it in the form of a spreadsheet. So there's one piece of there's a benefit associated with using BIM with a design suite. Autodesk produces a series of products combined into design suites. There are a whole range of design suites. They're standard, a premium, and an ultimate. Depending upon how much functionality you would want to achieve and how much your budget could justify it, would dictate which suite you would use. The standard suite is the entry level, the premium suite is the mid-range, and the ultimate is top of the tree. So as you can see from this graphic, you will be able to, you would get more software and more functionality if you were to invest in either the premium or the ultimate, and they would include a piece of software called Navisworks. And Navisworks is where a lot of these benefits, the 4D and the 5D that we were referring to, that's where those or the piece of software where those benefits reside. So let me just quickly run through what's included within each product so that you have an understanding. 2D is AutoCAD is the 2D documentation. Of course, everybody knows what AutoCAD is. AutoCAD architecture is based upon AutoCAD, but it's a 3D architectural design software. It's non-parametric as opposed to Revit. AutoCAD MEP, again based upon AutoCAD, is includes all of the functionality of the AutoCAD architecture, but then also takes that further and includes building systems elements. So it's producing a 3D model architecturally and for building services. Structural detailing, once again, is an AutoCAD-based solution, but it's aimed around structural detailing. So it allows you to extract a structural model and then effectively detail that model up. Showcase is an interactive visualization tool. AutoCAD Raster Design allows you to manipulate raster images within an AutoCAD-based solution. So you can load raster images, despeckle, rotate, and clean up the raster images so that you can then import them into an AutoCAD, a version of AutoCAD, and then be able to manipulate and trace over and convert the raster image into AutoCAD-based CAD system. Recap is a point cloud manipulation software. So this allows you to import point cloud data. So if you're not familiar with the concept of point clouds, it's possible to purchase or via a bureau have somebody produce a point cloud file for you, which will capture the status of any given building via a 3D laser scanner, and then that will produce an image or a model based upon points, billions and billions of points, and Recap would allow you to insert that file into Recap and then be able to manipulate that point cloud data so that it could then subsequently be imported into something like Revit and convert an existing building into 3D model or use the point cloud data interactively. 3D Studio Max is professional visualization and animation. And then we come to Navisworks, and this is what I really wanted to concentrate on this, the rest of the webinar on, because we've spoken about 4D and 5D, and this Navisworks is Autodesk's solution based around these concepts. This is the piece of software that's within the suite that will allow you to comply with the government's requirements to produce level 2 BIM. You can use the quantification tools within Navisworks and the sequencing tools based in Navisworks as well. There are two versions. There's a simulate and a manage version of Navis, and depending upon the functionality that you require would dictate which one that you use and therefore which part of the suite that you would invest in. These tools will allow you to run project sequencing based upon a BIM model, a Revit model. It will also allow you to do real-time cost analysis. It will also allow you to do clash detection if you were to invest in Navisworks Manage, the top of the tree solution. Revit, of course, is Autodesk's premier BIM solution that will allow you to produce a BIM model. So with a combination of Revit and Navisworks, you can satisfy the requirements for level 2. Inventor is a 3D design software. It also allows you to produce assemblies and to document individual parts and assemblies. Robot is structural analysis software, and InfoWorks is 3D site planning solution. So we have a range of a design suite. We have different ranges of design suite, and within those different ranges we have different products. And primarily the two products that will allow you to work to level 2 are Navisworks and Revit. So what I'd like to do is to give you some sort of indication of the functionality of that software. So what I'd like to do now is I'm just going to give you some real-time updates or real-time view on what some of this software, some of the capabilities of this software. So we have, okay, just bear with me. We have, if we look at the 4D, first of all, the construction sequencing. So as we work our way through, we're going to look primarily, first of all, at Navisworks to look at sequencing. So the product that you have in front of you at the moment is Navisworks. We highlighted the Timeliner dialog box, and this is basically going to allow us to link to a project management software. So in this case it's Microsoft Project. You can pick an MPX file and then link fields within that project management software to Navisworks Timeliner. It's not just Microsoft, it also supports a whole range of project management software, Premiere, etc. We then link a task to a particular function within Navisworks. So here we've produced a BIM model. We've used Revit to produce a BIM model. That BIM model has been imported within to Navisworks, and then we're going to select individual aspects or certain aspects of the 3D model and then link them to an event within the Timeliner product or within the Timeliner feature, and we can then assign a graphic, a visual appearance to the status of those elements based upon whether or not they're on schedule before or after a required schedule date, and also whether or not they need to be the sequence, the visualization that we're about to produce, whether something needs to be created or demolished, and an appropriate color assigned. So here we're going to assign elements of the Revit model to the Timeliner, and we're going to do that by using a concept called property sets. So this is where we can load in this case I've got some pre-configured property sets assigned. So for example, if we scroll down and we look at under foundations, you see you get a real-time preview within the model. So having selected the foundations within Navis, you get a real-time preview of everything that belongs to that category. We can visualize it in real time. We can manipulate it, and then we can attach those elements to via this link here, where we're being asked to link tasks via a selection set to a Timeliner task. So anything that matches a given name is going to be automatically assigned to a task within the model. So in this case it was foundations. So you can now see each individual element within the model has now been assigned automatically via a task. And now we're going to decide what that task is going to be. Are we going to construct something? Are we going to build something? Are we going to demolish something? or is the task temporary? Is it going to be constructed and then demolished within the same time frame? And we can assign a visual appearance to anything within one of those tasks. In this case, we're going to construct everything. So you're going to see the model being produced based upon a task within a project management software. So we're just configuring it, and this is where we have the ability to assign a physical appearance to a task. So anything that's going to be demolished or constructed is going to have a color assigned to it via this interface. So we're configuring what it basically looks like. And then we ask it to do a simulation. And now basically what's happening, we're asking the software, Navisworks, to run the timeliner. We're asking it to look at the events which are linked to the project management software and then visually display what that part of the model that is associated to that task. And as we'd configured the physical appearance, we will see in real time something which is new, which was something that was being constructed, is highlighted transparently in green. So this is the real-time construction sequence as we're working we're way through a task within the project management software. We're getting a real-time preview. And as you can see, we can interactively manipulate the model as that simulation is working its way through the timeliner. So we're getting a real feel for how the model is being constructed at any particular sequence within the timeline. And we can then use that data and extract it in some form to then link it into something else. In this case, we're going to link it to a timeline sequence, and we're going to produce an AVI. Another variation of this is where we can get some real-time indication based upon a view. We can have pre-configured views and walkthroughs based upon the model and then link them to the timeliner. So in this case, as we work our way through the model, we can create an animation, a walkthrough, save that walkthrough, and the construction of the building is being identified as we walk our way through. We can also link the animation to an event within the timeline. So here we have an example of where we have a delivery truck delivering concrete based upon a time scale linked within the project management software. So again, we're getting a real-time view of exactly what's happening. And this will be useful later on if we were to try and do some clash detection. Could it be that there's something impeding the progress of the delivery truck based upon our project sequence? It might be easy to miss that if we were just using the project software, but if we can link it to our BIM model, elements within the BIM model, we get a real-time preview. And that's basically what's happening at the moment. You'll see we're running through a simulation and it's building up the model based upon the events linked to the timeliner. So when we then link that with our animation, we get even more data. We are able to simulate a task within the project management software, the delivery truck, and we see the impact that that's having within the sequence. So as we work our way through the simulation, we're getting real-time feedback. So the requirements for 4D project sequencing can be based upon Navisworks. Navisworks Simulate. Okay. So let's close that down. Next, I would like to give you some sort of indication of the 5D Model-Based Quantification. So if we take a look here, again, this is also using Navisworks, but this time we're using some other capabilities, some quantification capabilities of the software. Before we take a look at Navisworks, I'll just give you a brief overview of how you could achieve this within Revit itself. So it's possible to do some cost estimation directly within Revit. You can produce a schedule. You can assign cost data to individual elements within your model. You can produce a schedule, and then you can assign a cost and calculate totals based upon the property that you've assigned. So in this case, we're going to do a door schedule. So we can determine what level we would want to see the doors. In this case, it's level 0. So as we start working our way through the model, we can have the software automatically update us in real time on what elements are being included within the schedule, in this case the door schedule. We can zoom to specific and highlight individual elements within the model from the schedule. We can also assign cost data associated with the model and then tally up columns, and so we can get some rudimentary costing directly within Revit. But if we want to take that one stage further, we can then import that same model into Navisworks and then use the quantification capabilities within Navisworks to assign resources, to assign costs, materials, areas, specifications to elements within that model. So what's happened here is we're now using, again, Navisworks. We've imported in a BIM model from Revit. Again, we're going to use the selection capabilities, the selection set capabilities that we referred to earlier on, and we're going to assign resources. We're going to assign information. We're going to extract data like area and volume, and then we're going to assign a cost to those properties. And as the model progresses throughout the sequence, whether it's the 4D construction sequence, the quantification data updates in real time. So rather than having to take off your quantities individually, manually, you can have a live update as the model is progressing. And that's what this is going to be demonstrating now. So once again, we're going to use the selection set capabilities assigned to as we did before. So we're going to pick on, in this case, the footings. We're going to select elements within the model and then drag those on to that category within the Navisworks quantification. And immediately you'll see the software knows about the length of the footings, the area of the footings, the volume, and the quantities associated for each. Not only does it know, but it gives me a real-time preview within the model. So I can pick individual aspects of the model and then highlight them and then link them to a task within the quantification worksheet. So we're getting real-time updates visually and via the data that's being linked to the element. So as we continue to work our way through the model, either manually or via the 4D sequencing, the elements are being highlighted within the model and their individual takeoffs, the individual data, the resources that I referred to, are automatically being updated. So here's the initial takeoff. We can easily specify which aspect of the model is being quantified. We can visually get some sort of indication of what is being updated or what is being modified. And if it should be updated, and here we're refreshing, the quantification module will automatically identify any changes, and it will identify those changes with a little symbol as shown here with the little graphic. So the software automatically knows that the model has been updated, and if we ask it to, it will update the quantification data automatically. So here we're asking it to update from the original model, and now the quantification data has updated automatically. So we're getting some real-time live updates of our takeoff. So major benefit in terms of being able to import a BIM model into a BIM solution, a solution as part of a suite, Navisworks. We can, sorry, just stop that animation. We can then use that animation to, or you can use that data to then link to Navisworks. We can then assign resources to the elements within the model, and as the model updates, those resources automatically highlight and give us real-time data. So let me just get rid of that. I'd also like to take this one stage further, still using Navisworks, but this time using the Navisworks Manage, and this is where we have a clash detection capability. So once again, we're in Navisworks. We're looking at the clash detection capabilities of Navisworks, and in simple terms, this will allow us to select one aspect of the model and then clash detect that with another element of the model, and it will tell us in real time of any clashes associated between the two selections that we choose. So here we're going into yet another aspect of Navisworks, the clash detection. We have the ability to select aspects of the model via those selection sets that I referred to twice now. So we can choose parts of the model via the sets. In this case, it's going to be the structure versus the building system's HVAC system. So we're picking on the structural framing within one aspect of the model and the building services elements within another, and then ask it to do a clash. And there are different types of clash. So elements, hard or clearance. So hard is where two elements are actually physically touching. Clearance is where those elements are within a specific zone. So it could be within 100 mil, for example. Anything that's within 100 mil, identify as being clashing. But we also have the ability to link to the 4D timeliner, the construction sequencing that I've just demonstrated to you. We have the ability to link that to a clash detective. So that once again, as we're working our way through a level 2 BIM model, we're construction sequencing and we're linking events to project management software. Not only do we have the ability to assign the 5D cost data, we can also do clash detection. We can use that same timeliner sequence and find out if there are any clashes within the events associated to that timeline. And that's what going to be demonstrated here just in a minute. So here we've run the clash detection and the software has automatically detected that there are clashes, and it's highlighting those clashes to us in a very obvious way and then zooming to each individual clash. We have all sorts of control of how this is being visually identified, but here you can see we're identifying the two individual clashes, and in this case there's a whole range of clashes. So several pieces of ductwork are interfering with the same column, and we have the ability to group those clashes together and then treat them as they're one. So this isn't a case of you having to go through each individual clash. You can group them together and effectively work your way through those and group them and manipulate them and treat them as one. So this is, of course, this is a real benefit. We can do the clashing, but then we can do something with that. We can then export those clashes as a report. In this case, it's going to be an HTML file. and then it will report on each individual clash in turn, giving you a graphic, allowing you to actually see in real time where parts of the model are clashing, and then it will give you associated data. So it will tell you where that clash is in terms of the model. So it will highlight it explicitly. So you can go through each clash in turn and then in real time update the, go back to the authoring software, update those clashes and then check it again. But also taking that one stage further, here we have example of using the 4D construction sequencing that we looked at before, and now we're linking it to the clash detective. So rather than clashing two static elements of the model, the HVAC and columns, here we can now clash elements that are within a construction sequence, a timeline, and get some real-time updates. As we work our way through the simulation, we can get the software to do some clash reporting for us in real time. So once again, as I was saying, is there something within the project management timeline that's going to impact on this particular task, the concrete being delivered via this truck? And if there is, the software will highlight it to us in the form of a clash. So here we're linking a task, the truck delivering the concrete, and we're linking that to the clash detective. So there's our task. Link it to the timeliner. It's going to be a hard clash. Are these objects actually physically touching? And then run the sequence. And then in this case, it's found 27 clashes based upon that the truck delivering the concrete. And it identifies, again, each clash in real terms. And as we work our way through the simulation, it will highlight each clash in real terms visually on the screen, but also highlight it in the timeliner sequence. So there are some real benefits associated with using a BIM solution, specifically 4D construction sequencing, 5D quantification. These are Navisworks capabilities, using Revit to produce your BIM model, insert the BIM model into a Navisworks, and then use Navisworks to manipulate that model in terms of construction sequencing, also in terms of quantification. So if we go back to the very beginning, how does a building design suite help us with our BIM solution? It helps us in terms of being able to produce 4D and 5D simulations. In the long term, it will also help us with the 6D project management, facilities management capabilities as well. So in real terms, we're being able to gain benefit from a BIM model to produce construction sequencing and real-time cost simulations. So there are some real benefits of a building design suite and tools within the building design suite to help us with our BIM requirements, specifically Navisworks and Revit. So what I'd like to do now is do a question and answer sequence. I'll open up the floor to everybody. If anybody has any questions, I'll endeavour to answer those for you. So I'm going to unmute everybody now and give you the opportunity to ask any questions if you so desire. So the floor's open, so if anybody has a question, please let us know. Okay, any questions? No, okay. Well, if there are no questions, then hopefully this has been of some benefit to you. There are products within the design suite which will definitely help you with your BIM requirement. So once again, just last chance, any questions? Okay, well, in that case, thank you very much for listening. I hope this has been of some benefit to you. You definitely have some benefits associated with the design suite that will allow you to, with your BIM requirements. I believe this is being recorded, and this will be uploaded onto our website, onto our blog. So if you would like to see this again, you'll have the opportunity to. So thank you very much for your attention, and thank you very much, and goodbye.